Everybody. It's good to be back home. As some of you guys may know, I was out of the country for just right around 2 weeks. I spent some time in the north of France, rather, some time in Spain, and then in Portugal. And so it's good to be back home. Uh, I am super happy to be getting my U.S. steaks again. I enjoyed Europe immensely. There's some really neat stuff to see. It's really obviously some beautiful cities with just tremendous works of art and stuff like that. Very walkable cities. All the history that's there, which was quite spectacular to see. But I have to say, I think the beef in the U.S. is the best. Quite honestly, I'll say that very much as a biased American, but that's my perception. I think it cut the steaks too thin in Europe. At least if I were there over a long period of time, I would have to have a discussion with a butcher on how to properly cut the steaks for uh, proper consumption, in my view. Anyway, I got a little bit of a tickle in my throat. Caught a little bit of a cold, probably because I didn't sleep for about 2 days on the way back, just the way the flight came in, and I never can sleep on planes. I just don't do that very well, and so been back. I'm still training. Back to deadlifting yesterday, and a little bit of sprinting and rowing just a little bit ago. I've got steak cooking in the sous vide, which I'm going to sear up here a little bit over in my Auto Wild, which you can see way over there. I got the Auto Wild and the Schwank grill, and then of course my Traeger over there. I got Ms. Maximus hanging out beside me. Beautiful, early September day here in the Pacific Northwest. I do wanted to. One of the reasons I wanted to do this is to, one, because I hadn't talked to you guys in a while, but number two is just to reiterate that today, September 2nd, Labor Day, is I mean, I was pretty happy to see the study came out that we've been working on for well over 6 months. In fact, I think it was December or November, December, where we kind of talked about getting this. We gathered the data, got the patients to share their data. Dr. Nick Norwitz and Dr. Adrian Sotomoda combined to write the study up. I provided some kind of background, I don't know, support, I suppose, and it was ready to go in January, but it took us almost 9 months to finally get it through an IRB, an Institutional Ethical Review Board, and the reason for that is unclear. It's nothing like it was putting anyone at harm. I mean, this was a retrospective case analysis, which basically there's no real ethical issue with that. In fact, to publish it, we didn't even need an IRB, but we wanted to get one anyway, and it took a long time. Finally, after I think 6 attempts, we finally got it through the IRB. Not because there was anything ethically wrong with the study, just because there's a reluctance, I think, to publish this sort of data because it goes against the current narrative. It flies in the face of the plant-based, is going to save us narrative, and I think that's hats off for Nick and Adrian for having the courage to persist and push the study out there, and more to come. We'll do some more of these. I'd like to see studies done on psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, and more. And then the next step in that sort of hierarchy would be the interventional trials. And so we would do hopefully an intervention trial followed by maybe a 2 or 3 armed randomized control trial, on and on. Of course, it takes a lot of funding, and that's another thing I've been working with, trying to find some funding sources to help do these studies. Our company Revero will be publishing our data as we get it, but we need this to come from multiple sources to get it to get out there. And I know many of you, don't feel like you need. I don't. You don't need a study to change your diet, right? You can do it at your own will. But I think to give a lot of physicians more comfort in being able to prescribe these things for their patients, because you figure a gastroenterologist will see hundreds of inflammatory bowel disease patients every year, and they have a greater opportunity to do this. I see a little sunshine thing from Ricky. Thanks, Ricky Lee there. Appreciate the little I guess this is 99-cent sunshine thing, so thanks so much, man. So and the other thing is, if you watched my earlier video today, for you guys on YouTube, I asked people to share the study, because the reason it's important to share that study is, one, it potentially might save somebody's life, or at least significantly improve their life, but also The more that study is shared, the more likely it is to get wide circulation. It's like the algorithms or anything else. The more people that show they interact with it, the more it's picked up. There's a score called altmetric score, which talks about the impact of that particular study, and the higher that is, the better it is for the journal that publishes it, and the more likely they are to do further studies in that regard. So there's a lot of reasons to do this. I see, Ricky's saying we need you on Trump team for the win, Doc. Well, I'm on team whoever wants to be willing to fix people's health. And right now, it seems that at least RFK, and now with him sort of joining forces with Donald Trump, are at least talking about making changes to our food system. Now, I will be honest, and I said this in a video the other day, I don't know how much change will actually get made. I think at best they may remove some of the sketchy ingredients, perhaps, but I don't think it'll move the needle far enough, and I wouldn't expect it to. I think ultimately it's going to come down to all of us. And I know this, our presidential election is coming up here, and just slightly over 2 months away. November, I think 5th or something. I can't remember what the election day is. Somewhere, first Tuesday in November. Um, the reason for, you guys know the reason for that. The reason for that's interesting. It used to be because of farmers. That's when farmers could come into town and their harvest was in. That's why they did it in November, because they didn't have a harvest they were dealing with, and they'd already brought it in. And Tuesday was a day where it was far enough where they could travel to voting polls, and because they were very rural and the polls were often far away. And Sunday they were in church, and Monday, Tuesday they could travel, and Wednesday they had a church thing or something like that. So that's the reason why we do it on November 5th, which was interesting. But um, again, it's still going to come down to you and I and all of us and all of our families and all of our friends and all the people we can influence to really change the system. We just got to stop buying that stuff, guys. I've said that over and over again. Just stop paying for yourselves to be poisoned, right? I'd shared a little, what do you call it, a duet video with Eddie Abu, I guess is how you say his name. Going to the store and pulling out some yogurt, and it's showing all the crap in there. And you see it. I mean, it's like, why the hell is there mono and diglycerized and carrageenan in yogurt? Why is it there? Well, it's there because texture and taste and stabilizing and shelf life, really. And it's something that, that's the problem. Now, we have food that sits on the shelf forever, but it's probably destroying our guts in many ways. So, all right, well, let me just see if I can answer a few questions here. I'm probably going to stick around for about 30 minutes or so. So I'll just say hi. I'm just going to start from the beginning here. David Wallace saying hello, and Paxolotl saying hi. Burns Aquatics also saying hi from Michigan. And Prem Panja from Illinois. And Carnivore Ron, thanks for all you do to inform us. Holly Crazy says Kansas ribeyes, an inch and a half. We got Michelle checking in from Pittsburgh. Good to see Michelle. And David Doenbow, I guess. Great. Eric Ofheim. How's explosive training going? It's going well. Like I said, I got a little bit cold today, so I can't really push really hard. I did a little bit of plyometric stuff. I really enjoy a guy named Matt Watson. I've met with him in California when I was there last time. And I think he has a really solid understanding and take on the plyometrics and how to just simplify the stuff and just focus on repetition in the simple movement patterns and not try to make it too complex. And I've really just kind of taken that to heart. So, and it's just, I feel like I can run faster, and I can feel like I'm moving a little better, which is good, And like I said, I'm giving myself 2 years. I'm still significantly heavier than I need to be for some of the goals I have at 60. So I've got a little over 2 years to drop down from 260ish to probably 240, maybe 235. I might get down that light, but we'll see. But I want to maintain the strength, and so it's something that I have to do. But that explosive training, it's I see people with bodybuilding, and I'm beyond the point where I need to bodybuild. I don't need to put on a lot of muscle mass. Got plenty. Make it work in a very efficient, effective, and explosive manner, so that I can, move my body through space very efficiently and quickly. Atlanta needs Dr. Baker. Hey, Dr. Baker, says Demelin Witness. Well, we have I'll put a plug in for Revero, our company, for you guys know that is a digital health company. We're licensed in all 50 states. We haven't opened in Georgia yet, but we will soon. And our docs are all totally on board with carnivore and low carb and keto. And, using nutrition to fix disease. So we'll be there soon. So if you haven't, check out Revero.com. That's Revero.com. Hop on the waiting list, and we're going through that list. We're pulling, we had something like 13,000 people sign up. We get a couple hundred people sign up every week. So we go through and we bring them on. We're hiring more providers so we can hit every state very soon. And so there we go. Wizard of the West. How come every time I eat meat only, I get bricked up? My tent is pitched every morning. I get bricked up. I get the tent is pitched every morning, saying wake up with morning wood. I'm not sure what bricked up means, but I'm not sure what that is. Sorry. Yeah. Thoughts on carnivore priming AI adventures? Well, I know that's a term that I think Raymond Nazan has. Maybe that's his term. I don't know. Maybe it came from the Andersons. I don't know who it's from, but I mean, I've said that in the beginning, you need to eat enough, and sometimes if you're not feeling like you have enough energy or whatever, you need to eat more, and you may actually eat more than you need. Well, you may eat enough to where you actually gain weight in the beginning, but that should be a temporary phase, and so there can be some use for it for sure. All right, making a big bowl of pasta. Please don't spank me. All right, so this is Patty Lipstrew saying congrats. And we got Marvin saying Jesus is Lord. We got Claudia Calderon, love your work, Dr. Baker. How woke would you rate the cities you were in? Any sane ones remaining? Um, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was in, I flew into Amsterdam, so I didn't really spend any time just in the airport. I can't really say much about that. I drove into the north of France in actually near Lille in Roubaix, totally. And I didn't really, I mean, again, I don't speak French, or at least not native. I can speak a little, but I'm not fluent in it, so it's hard to say. I will say that the people I talk to, and I saw this echoed several times, that a lot of people view the United States as significantly diminished from where it was even 10 years ago. And they feel that we are no longer, as much of a superpower as we once were, which I think, and a lot of people aren't happy about that because they are afraid that other countries will step in, namely China and Russia. And that is, I think, scary to them. So I think there's the perception that America has lost its standing in the world, and some of that has occurred. Other cities I was in Barcelona, which I thought was a wonderfully interesting city. I mean, gosh, beautiful. Just the Gaudi stuff is just amazing. The Sagrada, what is it? So Sagrada Familia or something like that. Sacred Family Church thing is just spectacular. It's amazing structure. I didn't get to go inside. I saw the outside of it, but I'd love to go inside sometimes. And we were in Alicante, which is on the Mediterranean coast. Actually, I wasn't as impressed with that city as I thought I would be. I mean, it just reminded me. It was just kind of dusty, and it just seemed a little bit. Maybe it was because it's August and it's in the desert, and I just didn't enjoy it as much. I really liked Ericeira, Portugal, and Lisbon. I think is pretty neat too. So, but I think I don't know. I didn't see a lot of I don't see a lot of the quote unquote wokeness day to day anywhere really. I mean, yeah, you walk around, you see people with kind of blue hair and goofy look. I see a lot of soft people. I see a lot of particularly, it's I don't know, saddening to see so many young men, particularly, that are just soft and mushy looking. That it's just you think this is what our society, because not to be sexist or anything, but the society's men are important. I mean, we're important for the how things are just developed in many ways. I mean, men have a special role in society, and when you have a bunch of soft, weak men, it's scary where you think your society would go. So, all right, let's go over to Kevin Animal Casino, Kev Casino. Do I need to worry about a high cholesterol calc? Nah, I don't know what the other part is, but it depends. I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about you to say. I mean, I think it's kind of a nuanced discussion there. We got the man Uish Uwer. You wish you were. Okay, sorry. Back in your command post. Yeah, it's nice to be home. I'll tell you that. Enjoy your steak. Thanks, Michelle. Tori Wolf. Hi, Dr. Baker from Canada. All right. What do you think about mercury fillings? Well, I think in retrospect, they probably could use better materials, don't they? Have you considered eating raw meat as ground beef, and what are the benefits? Well, it's called steak tartare. Quite honestly, I've had that. I did back, gosh, 6 years ago, I think. Sometime I did about 3 weeks of raw meat carnivore. I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't look forward to any of the meals. I mean, it was literally like not that tasty, and I just don't want to do a diet where I don't enjoy the food. So I mean, for any purported benefits that it may or may not have, and I do know some people that have gotten quite sick from it. Unfortunately, they just got for some reason they got some contaminated meat and they got really sick. I mean, it does happen. Um, I'm not convinced it provides any superpowers that people sort of claim that it does. It certainly was not sustainable for me personally, just because I didn't enjoy. I don't look forward to a cold punch of meat. I mean, I just don't. I mean, sometimes if if I'm traveling, I might cut up some steak, throw it in a bag, and eat that. Cool, but it's not my preference. So anyway, Herbal Annie says, "Go rest and enjoy your steak." Keto Simple says, "Good evening, Dr. Baker." Ricky Lee. Yeah, okay, now I'm back to where I was. Sibderoids Funky Labs. Greetings. Thank you. John Osborne, study on arthritis would be great. I have it in my left knee, but carnivore has certainly reduced the pain to the point where I really, really feel it all. Year and a half on it. Thanks, Dr. Baker. Thanks, Sean, rather. Yeah, I mean, I think my thought is probably the next study that I'd like to see done is probably one on psoriasis, and then perhaps rheumatoid arthritis, maybe rheumatoid and psoriatic arthritis combined, and would do like inflammatory arthropathies. I mean, maybe you could put in things like uh, ankylosing spondylitis or something like that in there as well. It'll be interesting to do. We got Roth. Hey, Dr. Baker, carnivore for 3 or 4 months now, and I'm down 315 from 380. Good, that's 65 pounds. What do you think about AG1 supplement? I think it's a waste of money, man. I think most of that stuff is just a waste of money. I wouldn't waste my money on it. I'd save money and buy a nice steak, man. How hard will they try and suppress the study? Keto simple. Well, I mean, we'll see if the mainstream media picks it up, because so far they've been ignoring a lot of this stuff, like the lean mass hyper-responder study. Almost nothing came out, right? We don't see it on Fox News, CNN, whatever, BBC. It's not; those aren't coming out. So yeah, I mean, I think they will try to ignore it. That's what they'll do. So we got to put it out there ourselves, right? Do I think appendicitis is diet related? I mean, probably indirectly it could be, I suppose. I mean, appendicitis is inflammation, right? I mean, inflammation can be dietary related. I mean, sometimes, obviously, if it's an infection, I mean, obviously, if you got, a hot appendix with an infection in there, that's inflammation secondary to an infection. And that requires often, I mean, sometimes they can treat it with antibiotics, but often it requires surgical resection. All right, Michelle McDermott. I went for my yearly checkup list, 30 pounds, blood pressure great, off meds. Doctor never asked what I was doing. Well, they don't, you know, for you, they're a good, I mean, you're an easy patient. Yeah, get in and out. Good. I don't need to spend the extra time. That's a good visit. Ready, steady, Freddy. What's a good substance for breast milk if the mother can't produce enough? God, I tell you that baby formula is just disgustingly awful, isn't it? The corn oil and corn syrup rather, and soybean oil and all the crap put in there. I would go over and check out the homemade version of breast milk. If you can't get it from, like there's surrogates that often provide it. You can sometimes get human breast milk, but if you can't get that, and the mom can't produce enough for whatever reason, check out the stuff that the Weston A. Price Society puts out. They've got a homemade version which uses, I think it's goat milk and some other things, and that seems to be for a fairly close proxy. So check out Weston A. Price's something to consider. Jason Payer, we're ultimately responsible for our own health. Absolutely. The government's not going to save you guys. I don't care who gets elected or doesn't get elected. They're not going to save you. We got to do it ourselves. We got Bill. It's Kenites messing with the food. Shepherd Chap. I wonder what that's about. All right. All right. Cyber Rods, Funky Labs, Carnivore went off on Thanksgiving. Get ready to get back. Well, get back on the horse, man. Hopefully it helps. Michelle McDermott, I think Kennedy will begin to open people's eyes and stuff on our food. Yeah, I mean, obviously, a lot of us have been talking about this stuff for years. I mean, Callie Means has done some good stuff on that. I talked to Callie quite a while ago about this. So, yeah, I mean, there's more. I think it's getting more and more wider attention. But I got to tell you, I mean, the pushback, because I was watching and this is why I'm skeptical of it actually making a difference, of actually like them actually cleaning up the food supply is, watching, I think a Fox News show program, they're talking about, well, it's a slippery slope. If you start banning, red dye number, whatever, three or whatever it might be, well, then the next thing it is, they're going to be like, telling you what genes you can pass on to your kids and stuff like that. I mean, it got very quickly, um, the discussion went down the slippery rabbit hole. So if you ban one thing, then you're going to ban all these other things, and they made these sort of pretty significant leaps. So I don't think we're going to. I think despite the best efforts, I think it's going to be really hard to make significant changes. All right, we've got a $20 super chat from Gunther SB. I've been doing Lion 2-to-1 fat to protein in grams, salting to taste slightly over 90 days. I still have low energy, especially a few hours after a meal, same as before starting carnivore. What might I be doing wrong? Well, I mean, that's an interesting. I don't know. One, I don't really know why you're doing the diet in the first place. So that's, that's pretty significant. I would, wonder if you're just eating enough. And that sometimes, I mean, it's an energy issue. I mean, 90 days is a decent amount of time to adapt for most people, and unless you're not eating enough, and then it's just a issue of not consuming enough food. And if you're chronically under eating, I don't know if you've been losing weight during this time. If you've been losing weight, I mean, it could be a good thing if you're trying to lose weight, but it could be a problem because you're not maybe not consuming enough calories to run your machine. And so that's probably the biggest thing that I see is just not consuming enough calories. I mean, the things when you come about, fatigue and energy. I mean, how's your sleep? What's your meal timing around sleep? If you're eating too close to bedtime, that often can be disruptive to sleep. Um, you know, Hydration. I mean, yeah, that could be an issue. Those are the major things, but without real clarity on what else is going on, why you're doing it, how much you're eating, what you're eating specifically, hard to say with just that. But well, I mean, I guess lion diet, so you probably ruminant meat. I would, I would consider titrating your food up, 10, 15% at a pop for a week, see how you do with energy, and then just kind of keep going with that. Energy swings after meals can sometimes be related to blood sugar fluctuations, and so it might be useful to get that information. I don't know if you have access to a monitor or a CGM or something like that, because sometimes rapidly changing blood glucose can change that. And while generally fat in particular doesn't have a significant impact on blood glucose in the acute term, protein can to some degree, depending on the person. Um, it could be related to protein intake, depending on how much is going on, how much you're consuming. So those are some of the things that come to mind. But again, it's, just without knowing a lot of details, it's hard to say. But anyway, thank you for the question and for the super chat deal there. Appreciate it. All right, let me go on to one of these other questions here. Um, all right, what else we got? Keto Simple. I'm working on how we all need to work together and creators to impact meaningful change. Yeah, I mean, it really is. This really is a grass movement thing. This is what I said from day one. Ever since I kind of got elevated within this carnivore space, particularly when I was on Rogan back in 2017, I said, look, it's got to be grassroots. It's got to be spread out among a lot of people, and I've been very happy to see a lot of people having success. I've been, I mean, I see some people kind of grifting in the space, which is a little bit distress, a little bit kind of, I don't like to see that, but I mean, some people just trying to prey upon a new audience. But I mean, in general, it's been generally good. I think people are sincerely sharing their results and their stories. And I do think it's important to support one another and, help us to make a difference because, like I say, with our company, Revero, I mean, the only way we're successful is if we actually get people healthy. And, I think this is what it takes is a giant community that says enough is enough. We're tired of the way this thing is, and that's the only way it's going to change because the financials, at the end of the day, it's all based on greed, right? I mean, it's if we think if we think good will triumph over evil, I mean, that's nice. That works out well in the movies sometimes, but I think realistically, I mean, you've got to figure out a way to impact the people that are greedy in a way that makes them, you know, satisfies their greed. And I think healthy people can be beneficial financially. I really do. I think if you take a company that's got 10,000 employees and 20% of them are sick and it's costing them X millions of dollars every year. If you can lift that burden, those companies can make more money. And I think that's ultimately the strategy is going to make the most sense. I know it sounds a little cynical, but that's kind of what I believe. All right, let me go to N's question. This is from Nick. Another $20 super chat. Hey, Doc, Carnivore 100 plus days now, no improvements yet, dealing with multitude of issues, weight, gut, fatigue, insomnia, and more. What's the longest time you've seen it take for improvement for someone doing carnivore? Yeah, I mean, I've seen some people 6 months to a year, but I mean, again, and Nick, I don't know enough about you to really comment in depth here. But what I would say, and I will say, look, I do on I think there's a link in my bio for that, or I know if you go to carnivore.diet, there's a link, you can do that, and we can talk in detail. Maybe that's necessary. But I mean, I think that diet is very important for improving health. I think without a good diet, you're really, really, swimming upstream. So diet has to be, I think, helpful to resolve a lot of disease. I think there's other things that play a role too. And I think there's other things that come in. It's sleep, not being sedentary. How active are you? Maybe doing some strength training. Stress mitigation. These other things that are potentially going on. How much are you consuming? I mean, it's still, how do I gain weight on carnivore? I eat more. How do I lose weight on carnivore? I eat less. I mean, those principles still hold in my mind, in my experience, my collective experience with thousands and thousands of people now. And I think I know there's people say calories don't matter and it doesn't exist and blah, it's all a construct and all that stuff. But I mean, ultimately, yes, I mean, there's a huge difference between eating 2,000 calories versus donuts and 2,000 calories worth of steak. There's all kinds of metabolic differences that occur. But at the end of the day, if you've been doing carnivore for 3 months, 6 months, 5 years, and you want to make a change, um, there's things, one of the things you can do is eat more, eat less. And the nice thing is, it's not hard to do that. I find. I mean, I find I can eat more, eat less at will without too much difficulty. It seems much easier. So, again, I would say that 3 months is a reasonable trial. If you've sort of done it and you've received zero benefit, none, nothing, not a bit of benefit, maybe try something else. I mean, I'm not here to change the whole world into carnivore. I hope it works and it seems to work for a lot of people, probably a majority of people. But I mean, I think again, there are things within. Again, I don't know enough about your diet to say. I mean, there's obviously now different sort of quote unquote versions of carnivore that people pursue, and sometimes some people have to be a little stricter with it. Some people have to. I mean, you get people here telling me they're on a carnivore diet and that they're telling me about all the avocados and honey and fruit they eat. I'm like, well, that's technically not really a carnivore diet, so I can't really comment on that. But I think that you know. Those, I mean, just some of those things. Just look into some of those other things that I talked about. I mean, one of the biggest things I've struggled with, even now, is really trying to focus on sleep prioritization. I mean, that's the hardest thing for me. I'm fine with eating and training. That's not an issue. I mean, I like training. I really enjoy it. I certainly like what I eat. Sleep is probably the hardest one to make sure I just get to bed on time and just really just do that. Because I'm always trying to do a little more each day, and then sometimes sleep is not as prioritized as it should be. So I look at some of those things. I look at how much you're eating. I mean, because a lot of times a lot of people don't realize is that and you said you've got no improvements. I don't know if you've lost any weight, but some people will lose weight. They'll go from 300 to 260, and they'll still be eating the same amount of food. I'm like, you're a smaller animal now. You need less food. I mean, a mouse eats less than a dang giraffe. I mean, as you get smaller, you just require less food. So that's one of the things. Because people say, well, I should be able to lose weight indefinitely on the same amount of food, and that's not the case. And so maybe something like that. I don't know. It's hard to say again without more detail. But appreciate the question there, Nick. All right. Hello from England, says Michael Salim. And we got Michael Cork from Straya, also from Sydney. We got live 15:13. Hey, Dr. Brick, can you please make alternatives of you eating the steak to the videos you repost? I watch almost everything you post, and I'm tired of seeing you eat the dang steak. Well, that's what I eat every day. I don't know. I mean, you want me to eat? What else you want me to eat? I don't eat anything else basically. I mean, I guess I ate some eggs. I ate some eggs today. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. We'll see if I can get something else in there. But I don't eat much different very often, I got to tell you. We got Night Garage saying, hi, Sean. How you doing? We got Puck Wedgie. I like the vote with the little lever on my toilet if it works just as well. All right, we got Joey Bonfiglio. Hi from St. Augustine, Florida. Florida election day is always the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. The only thing I remember in my U.S. history class. Yeah. What else we got? We got Robert Cuttrup from New Jersey saying hi. Acetal says, there's a point when the suspension of disbelief is irreversibly broken. I did my part, but can no longer believe or care, even if it did improve. Okay, interesting. Carnivore coach Lisa Pickart. Just want to thank you for all the time you give to others. I appreciate it. Thanks, Lisa. And we got Pabita or something like that. No, it's a comment to someone else. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Adam X, when was the last time you had something with cane sugar? God, I don't know. I couldn't tell you, man. I don't know. It's been a long, long time. I mean, like I said, I have every once in a while. I mean, like once or twice a year, I might have a piece of cake. So that's probably it. Probably, I don't know, a year ago, maybe something like that would have been. But I mean, generally, like I said, I just pretty much. I got back from Europe, and I stayed carnivore the whole time in Europe. I mean, I didn't succumb to French bread or baguettes or anything like that. There's nothing really in Spain that was really that tempting to me, nor Portugal. I mean, I had a lot more seafood. I had some good. I actually had some pretty good octopus in Portugal. I thought it was quite good. And then I had a lot of cheese, though, a lot of dairy and cheese on vacation. I ate more of that because honestly, I just didn't find the meat quite as good. And I had some of the chuletan from Spain. This is the old, kind of old dairy cow ribeyes and stuff like that, which I found to be okay, but it wasn't. I mean, God, a USDA prime ribeye steak, man, that's hard to beat. I got to tell you guys, that's a tough one. We got Woody Woodpecker from Brandon from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Went to Metallica in Seattle this weekend. It's turned into one big Capitol Hill. Okay. What's your thoughts on Google Trends showing carnivore is way more popular than veganism? Is it truth in real life? Well, I mean, I mean, the relative trend. I mean, I think veganism, the people that are adopting it, is slowing down. I think the interest is sort of it peaked several years ago. So on the downward trend, carnivore is obviously on an upward trend, and we'll see what happens over the next decade or so. Be interesting to see. In my view, um, I'm here for whatever helps people the most. Now, obviously my experience and my expertise has been in carnivore, and I'd love to see more people get healthy, irrespective of what they use to get there. That would be great. I think that this is, you know, in my view, and again, this is my own biased opinion, but I think a carnivore diet is incredibly powerful for a whole host of medical conditions. It may be one of the most powerful medical interventions there is, when it comes to treating chronic disease. Um, but again, that's my so far somewhat biased view because I live it and see it every day. We'll have to see how a general population responds to this because right now it's a lot of self-selection bias and a lot of people that have shown their success. And there's a lot of them. It may be that it's effective in 90% of the population, maybe 20% of the population. I don't know. We'll have to see. Hopefully we get some time with that. All right. What else we got here? We got Lily Coy. Welcome home, Doc. Thanks. Appreciate that. It's good to be home. Carnivore coach, do I feel that carnivore heals everything? Well, everything's kind of a broad. I think it can help a lot of conditions. I think good nutrition is always of benefit. I mean, I'll say that. And I think carnivore is good nutrition. So, I mean, in a sense, I think it can be beneficial for most things. I mean, everything is a pretty broad question there. But I think most chronic medical conditions would benefit from, or even sometimes in many cases, acute medical conditions would improve or could benefit from good nutrition. I think that's a fair statement. Shade of the Narrow Path. Dude, Sean, what's up, man? Thanks to you. Been animal-based for 2 years, and so is my wife. She just gave birth to a son who is now breastfeeding with her on a carnivore diet. He's the healthiest. Awesome. Congratulations. Good to hear, man. Jeffrey Anderson, hello. Carnivore is working for the wife and I. It's actually easy compared to doing the low-fat. Lost 40 pounds since March eating steak and ribs. I'm enjoying your book, too. Appreciate you. Glad you enjoyed the book. Man, I wish they'd translate that damn thing into Spanish. That would be my request for the publisher. But yeah, I mean, for some reason they've translated in Japanese and Polish and Hungarian and German and I can't remember what other languages, but I haven't done Spanish yet, which is surprising to me. All right, your hubby has cured his cirrhosis with carnivore. That's awesome to hear. Bricked up means hard as in fans. Okay, I got it. All right. All right, I hadn't heard that one before. So anyway, hell, I want to eat meat, but I can't stand the taste every time I try to eat steak. I throw up. Please help. I want to eat meat. See why? Well, maybe experiment with different flavor enhancements and see how you do with that. Maybe just start with I don't know what you do like. Start with bacon or something like that. Maybe kind of slowly put yourself into there. All right, what else we got here? The True says, hello, Dr. Baker. The very first live watching. Can I ask you one quick? I would love to hear about the IV vitamin C. Is it beneficial for real with any toxic? So I know people have been using these various vitamin infusions, and I got to tell you, I'm pretty skeptical about that stuff. I think there's a lot. You know, I am not particularly convinced of exogenous antioxidants having much of a role. I mean, I guess it depends on the context. There may be some benefit, but I'm not overwhelmingly convinced that they're doing much, to be honest. So we got another super chat here. Uh, well, Alicia from Froman, Canada loves Dr. Baker. Canadian $20. Well, thank you. Thanks, Alicia. I'm trying to remember what the exchange rate on that is, but I was in. Yeah, I'm not far from Canada, as you may know. I'm in Snohomish, Washington, which was probably I think we're right at about a two hour drive to the border. I've been up to Vancouver a few times since I've been here, which is a beautiful city, by the way. Guys, it's so scenic. I've been to Calgary once. I competed in World Championships and Highland Games out there. Went out to Canmore, which was also a really neat sound. I've been to Toronto once, and I've been to uh, Ottawa once for a wedding in December, which was really cold, by the way. Yeah, Canada's got some. It's a beautiful country. In fact, I remember flying over. We flew in from Amsterdam. We flew over to Seattle, and we flew across, um, across Canada. I was looking at how it's just such scenic with the beautiful mountains and lakes and stuff. It's a shame that some of the Canadian politics have gone kind of batshit crazy in my view. Hopefully, they don't get too crazy on you guys. But thanks for that. Appreciate for that support there. Um, Igor something, and I can't say that real. So Raltsev, I can't say. I don't know how to say it. Raltsev. Love your work. Now my biggest worry is how many metabolically sick people are walking around. I had a count yesterday. Probably 1/30th men over 30s was healthy. Yeah, I mean it is kind of sad. You look around and fat, fit, or frail. I mean, this is how many people are actually fit, how many are fat, and how many are frail. And it's you start looking around, how many people are actually like look like they could, like, if the zombie apocalypse came, right? How many people do you think you could rely on to fight the zombies? Not too many. My dog's Maximus is seeing something out there. It must be like I don't know, something's in the backyard he's freaking out about. Um, Lincoln Farrell, what book do you recommend in the space other than your own, which I read and thoroughly enjoyed? Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I haven't really read a lot of them. I think, I think Judy Choi is pretty good. I mean, I think she's got some good stuff, some interesting stuff. I like her a lot. I don't really know. I mean, honestly, I mean, maybe you guys know because you probably. I tend not to read carnivore books. I kind of live it every day, but I don't know. I mean, maybe Georgia Eads' new book might be interesting to read. I mean, I like Georgia a lot. I mean, I don't know. I've got a lot of people have sent me their books. I get kind of everybody that writes a book sends me one. I just don't have a lot of time to read them all, honestly. I kind of skim through some of them. But I'm trying to think if I've read one recently that I really enjoyed. And I can't off the top of my head. I mean, I tend to, God, I read so many scientific papers and stuff. I read a lot of that stuff. And I spend a lot of time reading various stuff on social media. Um, I tend to read, when I do read, it's more kind of pleasure books and stuff like that. So I can't really give you a good answer on a good book right now. We got Dr. Iron Mom. I started carnivore in January. Just spent a week with my vegetarian daughter. Brought a lot of homemade beef jerky with me, but I still ended up eating some vegetables and pizza. Back to carnivore now. Well, hopefully you didn't get too much negative stuff there. All right, ZY, Dr. Shawn Baker, please help. I tried to eat. Okay, we just talked about the. I try to throw up. I don't want to be team vegan. I don't know how I can help you from this. Book a consult. We can talk about it. That might be fun to sort of give you some thoughts on things you can do. What do we got here? I can't keep up with all the questions here. Huh. Interesting. We got Silent but Deadly. Hi from Michigan. Good to see you. Tupac, why do you think Paul averted to eating fruit? I don't know. I mean, like I said, when I started out doing carnivore, he approached me to learn about it, and he insisted that Jed eat all these organs, and I said, you don't need to do that stuff. And he had his own sort of belief, which wasn't consistent with what people have been doing for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, which, they'd already kind of tested the waters out, and he had his own belief system on what was right, and he ended up, which is exactly what the long-term people had predicted. They said people that end up, shoving down organs mostly quit the diet, and that's kind of what he did. So maybe it had something to do with that. It may have the fact that he's really interested in making a lot of money on this. I mean, that's the honest deal here. I mean, he basically told me himself that he was interested in making a lot of money. And saying he's a doctor and I deserve to get paid a lot. And so I think he, found that it was probably more financially lucrative for him to pivot. There's a bigger audience for that. There's more people that are willing to eat a bunch of meat plus a bunch of other sugary stuff. And I think that's just a larger target market. I mean, I think that's part of it, to be honest. All right. Will Brooks, took your advice 5 years ago and saved my life. Thank you, sir. Well, I'm glad it helped you, Will. Appreciate it. I'm glad you're still around to talk about that. All right, guys, I got to eat some dinner. I appreciate spending a little Memorial Day weekend with you guys. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for sticking around and being part of this community. And together, all of us are going to change. I'm confident we're all going to change the future for the better. All right, one steak at a time. You guys take care. Bye bye now.